having some type of quick thinking available to you, so that you can start to mediate the scenario immediately while the rest of the equipment sort of arrives. This goes back to, like, for example, CPR training is one of those classic ones, where someone, gets into some kind of heart attack, cardiac arrest of some kind, and their CPR, obviously, we all know CPR, but...
Hold on, listen guys, if you don't know CPR, you're wrong. That's like the most basic low-hanging fruit course that you should take. This is one that I'm really surprised more people aren't taking. I'm actually disappointed that more people are not taking it.
I agree. Actually, when we look at wilderness first aid, CPR is the fundamental. It's at the base of a lot of it. So almost every first aid, every trauma kit, CPR is extremely important to know how to do it and do it properly. But where I was headed with this is that in some cases, defibrillation is an absolute requirement to get the heart back into rhythm. Mm-hmm. And you're going to need to use an automatic defibrillator, an AED. And this is one of those things you're certainly not toting around. This is something that you're going to have to find or have somewhere.
No, listen, now we see them everywhere. And how many people are actually trained? I mean, you can read the instructions, but in a heated situation, how effective are you going to be able to read the instructions?
And I'll go to that to say they do kind of have their own self-prompting. First aid responders are fabulous at helping you use equipment like that when you're on the phone with them. And the units themselves are very efficient at teaching you how to do it. The reason I think CPR courses are important and doing that is because at least it makes you aware of the product and how it operates. My fear is that people will see it on the wall, they understand what the unit is, but then they're afraid to use it because they've never held one, they've never dealt with one, they don't really know, and they don't think that they can do it, and anybody can. Like I said, the system will prompt you through every single step if you've never done it. But first things first, you have to be willing to go get it out of the box and bring it to the scene. And so I think that's where a CPR course with AED practices are absolutely fabulous.
Well, also, CPR does a lot of things. It gives us the knowledge on how to deal with, for example, discovering somebody that's unconscious. How do we diagnose that? How do we navigate that? Little details like that are extremely important, but it often gets overlooked because of the. It seems like it's a common thing. It seems like it's like kind of like a banal thing, and people are like, it's not quite. And I hate to use the term sexy, but it's not as exciting as some of the more, like even the wilderness first aid course. Once we get into mechanical injuries or splinting bones and all that type of stuff, that tends to get more drama. Whereas CPR is really, I think, the key, the more important starting point. I think that's absolutely foundational.
Well, I think you're right, and I think that the problem there, again, going back to the discussion of having the proper skills. The situation does not start at CPR, right? CPR sort of develops into the situation.
Right.
I came across somebody that had passed out. We don't know why, but now we're going to start doing our investigation, start doing our initial assessment of the situation, of the scene. Scene safety is always very important when you assess a scene. But as those things develop and you come across the scenario where the person is got very little pulse, no pulse, is not breathing, then CPR is it. This is what you got. There's nothing else. You're not going to reach into a bag and pull out, a magic wand. CPR is the magic wand. And that's where, that's the only chance you have of potentially saving this individual is by being able to perform successful CPR. So I think CPR, I agree. It's not... It sounds easy. A lot of people take it for granted. Yeah, but it's the backbone of everything. Someone that passes out from, secondary cardiac arrest, gas inhalation, something that, knocked them out and they're not breathing. They're going to need to know how to do CPR. Someone who had an injury and was bleeding and may have gotten themselves to the point where now they're unconscious from having too much blood loss. You're going to have to go to CPR. You can't put the blood back in. It's out. So CPR is going to be really... where the only tool you have in your toolbox until that EMS truck arrives.
Right, and again, I can't say it enough. It's a simple one that you can get. It's available everywhere, just about.
It's available everywhere.
It's inexpensive.
It's inexpensive. There's a lot of classes online that can help you, but obviously the hands-on classes are the ones that really get it done.
No, when you got the new dummies. Okay, so this is a real key one because I've been certified in CPR since I was 14 years old, so I've been doing it for a long time. But when we got the new dummies, mannequins, all right, the mannequins. When we got the new mannequins, I became painfully aware of the depth that you actually have to go through. We just got the latest required mannequins, and they give you a red, yellow, and green light symbol to let you know when you're going deep enough. And I came to the horrific discovery that I had been practicing not going deep enough. And I think that technology, and listen, almost for that reason alone, because you can catch it on YouTube and learn the basics of CPR.
Right, but without getting the
getting the depth.
Yeah, without getting the depth and the feel for it, finding the rhythm, doing it properly. That's not so easy.
Yeah, that's the big key, is getting it easily.
Yeah.
Or